live now.
Am I live now? Do you think I'm live now? Do you think I'm live
I believe I'm alive. I believe I can stream to YouTube.
Welcome back to the show, Tech Support.
Thanks. It's great to be here.
Tech Support isn't actually with us today.
Not actually here. I'll put my
He's-
hood up so you know.
so
There we
that
go.
you know, the universal symbol of I'm not actually here. Okay, we're live now. Thank you for your services.
That will be my cue to get. Oh, I believe. Trying to sneak away.
You're very stealthy, very stealthy. Okay, welcome everyone. Anyway, welcome feather wolves and dragon foxes and doodlebugs. If you're watching this on YouTube, you are watching a very short excerpt of a 2-hour private gathering that I hold with my top tier patrons every month. Today's topic is yellow metals, copper and bronze and such things. So I brought some fun things for you today. A blast from the past. If you guys remember, those of you who have been with me from the beginning of my YouTube channel, this was one of the first videos that I made, and it was on yellow metals. For that video, I made this little sample page of the different ways that you can create metallic effects. So the first one is done with a gold pen, and you can see that the gold pen certainly has the gold quality, but it's flat. And what I mean by flat is, as I'm turning the page, you can see that the golden effect only comes to life as the page is turned. And I rarely use this in my coloring. Now, the second one is a gold pencil. And it's a little bit better because you can do gradients with it. But again, it's the same problem. As I turn the page, you can see that it looks more gray to me. It's flat. You don't have any kind of a color gradient variation. You can just go from that color to nothing. And yes, you can shade with it, but it just, if you look at it, it doesn't come across as gold at all. And the third method is what I use, is where I actually paint what I see. You don't need gimmicky pens and pencils to draw what you see, to copy the effects that are actually happening in real life. Now I'm going to start with a brown pencil with this very dark brown that I picked, which happens to be called dark chocolate. I am going to start going over the shadows that I already have on the drawing. Now, even though this is going to be copper, I like to start with brown, because the way that copper tends to play in the light is that it picks up these really dark areas that turn almost completely dark brown. And then you have areas that are kind of beige and ochre with a little bit of yellow and a little bit of light. What you need to do with metals is you need to learn to understand what makes the metal look metal. What's the actual illusion here? What makes the human brain think this is a shiny surface, this is a shiny yellow surface, versus this is a shiny silver surface. I'm leaving all of the light areas uncolored because I'm going to add white charcoal here, and I brought the pencil form. As you can see, charcoal white, General's brand, same exact brand as the stick form that I use, but in a pencil form. And now I'm really glad that I left these areas blank so that I can add this white charcoal here. Again, the order here doesn't matter. We could have started with it, but I like to show you guys different ways so that you're not locked into just one of my strategies of always starting with the white charcoal. You don't always have to start with it. I go with white charcoal mainly because it's just the strongest. I have not found a white pencil that is a good enough match to it. All the white pencils that I have, even from the best brands, even from my favorite brands, the Black Widows, the Prismacolors, they're just not white enough. The pigment isn't clean enough on paper, so I always go with white charcoal instead. Okay, do very, very minor blending with my Q-tip on this. And that's it. Okay, now for my second color, and we're only on our second color. We worked with a dark brown and a white. Now I want something that's kind of a really bright mustard, and I brought several colors today to see which one will work, which one will actually make me happy. So I picked this one, I picked this one. And notice I'm only going by feel, not by names, not by brands. This is a totally different brand now. But this is the family of colors that I'm looking for. I guarantee you, you have the right pencil for this next step. It doesn't have to be from any one of my sets. So I'm actually gonna go with this one. And this is a Prismacolor. This isn't even a Black Widow. This is a Prismacolor called Yellow Ochre, and it looks attractive to me. So I'm going to go with that. So here I'm going to create a blending effect from the dark brown that I've established into the white. So I'm coloring everything that's dark brown, and I'm also coloring into the white, but not all the way. I want some areas to be pure white still. All right, this is looking great. Now I want an even brighter color, and I want to go with a pure orange for this. So this was a no-brainer. I just picked the brightest orange that I could actually physically see. This is Carrot. Can't get any more orange than that. And with this orange, I'm only going to add a few highlights. I'm not going to add orange all over. And it doesn't make that huge of a difference. This isn't a very dramatic effect, but what it does is it makes this transition between brown and yellow ochre a little bit more vivid. And I think I'm going to add actual yellow here as well. Now for my yellow, this is how I picked my yellow. I went into my box of supplies and I literally looked for the brightest possible yellow that jumped out at me, and it happened to be this, and it's called Canary Yellow from Prismacolors. With this Canary Yellow, I'm going to go over everything that I left white. Because I'm working on gray toned paper, adding that white was a very important step, because now as I add my Canary Yellow, it appears in its purest possible form. You can see that if I add it just over gray paper, it looks like that. And if I first prime my gray paper with white charcoal, and now add my Canary Yellow, look at the difference. You can see it's so much better, it's so much cleaner, it's so much brighter. It's actual Canary Yellow in its purest form. And that is exactly why we do the white primer. It's not for the texture, it's for the color, and only because we're working on paper that is not white. If you're working on paper that's already white, then that's how this Canary Yellow will look naturally. So this is quite extreme on the yellow side. I really like it, but it looks more gold. So I'm going to take a black pencil and add more contrast, add more black to the shadows over here. So I'm going to practice a combination of blending and line work with the black. We want to go for pure black here. Unlike skin tones where we're actually avoiding pure black and we're only using black to build up the shades of colors, here we want pure black. And you may even want to use a marker for this part. I know a lot of you like markers. If you have brush markers, this is an excellent use for them. You can just add these little black highlights. They're not really highlights. We tend to think of highlights as lighter areas, not darker areas. So it's a little bit confusing to call them highlights. But little black artifacts would work absolutely beautiful here with brush markers. Okay, this is a very, very specific step for me. So you may wish to skip it, but I like to work with very light colored Prismacolors over whatever I'm working with, very specific to Prismacolor. And I like to work with very light grays and very light blues. This is called powder blue. It's Prismacolor 1087. And as you can see, it looks almost white on tan-toned paper, but has this cold, icy look to it. So because we have this blue dress in the picture, I am using this color here because there will be a little bit of of a blue reflection in the metal. So I'm adding it just a little bit. And not a lot, not a lot. I'm actually like stopping myself from going over the top here. Okay, well, we haven't ever done this live on the show, so it should be fun. How to do white highlights with something that's not a white gel pen. So I have a whole bunch of this acrylic paint, and I picked just 2 brushes, not too big, not too small, just something I had laying around. I won't use any water. I'm just going to use it dry. And I'm going to take very little of this acrylic paint and just apply it to the parts where I want to have my highlights. And then I'll take my cleaner brush and smooth it out a little bit. I tend to work with 2 brushes at a time every time that I work with paint. One to actually pick up the paint and apply it to the page, and the other one to kind of smooth out the edges. All right, that will do it, because I don't want to work with this horrible paint anymore. It's the main reason. Now for the shiny gold background, I will start with priming it with my white charcoal. And of course, if you're working on white paper, you can skip this step entirely, because when I talk about priming, it's not priming for texture, it's priming for color. I am going to go with something like this, like a more brownish ochre than I used on the frame, and this exact color is olive brown from the skin tone set. Light brown will work, orange will work, not the carrot orange, but something more burnt and ochre looking, or any other one of the mustard colors that I like so much will work as well. All of the leathers, the olives. Notice that I'm changing the direction of my shading all the time to make sure that that transition is in fact smooth. And I generally want this kind of a slant here, like a 45-degree slant. A little bit more of this green color. Notice how similar these colors are. They're very, very close together. But this one is clearly on the brown side, and this one is clearly on the green side. And I want that kind of a color variation for the look that I'm going for. Again, in the same slant direction, same general slant. If you are going with the slanty kind of a shading, make sure that the angle is the same all over. Don't change it around randomly. This is looking nice. Now we need a brown. What's the brown that we worked with? The same dark brown that I used on the frame. This is dark chocolate. So the general pattern here is that it's going to be darker in the bottom and lighter towards the top. So even though I'm adding brown to some of the lines up here, overall the gradient is going from brown to light from bottom up. Remember, it's all about high contrast with shiny surfaces. So pure black, but we are shading with it. No more little artifacts like we did on the frame. We're actually creating a gradient from black to brown to mustard to white. This to me is what does it. It's this pure black transitioning into the colors. That's the secret behind shiny surfaces. There was one more color that I brought, and that's this kind of a yellow. It's very similar to the canary yellow, but it's a little bit more on the orange side. This is called Egg Yolk from Black Widow. I don't think I've ever used this pencil before, to be honest. Yes, I like this Egg Yolk. I think it did the trick. I think it really made it look like what I expected. Again, match your own expectation. Don't match anyone else's. Don't match anyone else's art. Match your vision. Do practice this effect. Practice the gold, the copper, the different metals. I am always around to answer your questions. So just hit me up on Messenger if you need me to look at your work and to give you guidance. I am happy to do that. Thank you everyone so much for your time, for your amazing comments. I'll see you in a month. for, I guess we're doing red hair next month. It seems that everyone's already decided on that. Sounds like fun. I'll see you guys in a month. Bye.